Why did I spill water all over myself? Water's everywhere. Oh, it's cold. Am I nipping out? Oh yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Just this one, not the other one. Sorry.
No, you got both.
Did I get both?
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah. Hey, offer still stands on the shaving the nipple part.
Yeah, well, we haven't hit it yet. So
What was our goal? I think
I think it was like
1,000,
1,000 views or 1,000 downloads or
something like that. Once
So-
we hit that, shaving the nips.
I think
I do. Oh,
it was over the court or over the two platforms. We have almost 1,000 downloads over all the episodes
nice. That's pretty cool.
or listens or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah. All right, James, I do have a question for you, dad to dad. So we've been struggling with getting Gus potty trained.
Okay.
What works for you? So like he'll sit on the potty. We'll get him to go to the potty. We'll take some coercion. Like usually he says no, but eventually we figure out a method to get him to go to the potty.
Mhm.
He could pull down his pants and everything. He can do all that. We give him stickers. He can sit on the potty. He does, and he can get up from the potty. He does all that. But he doesn't go to the potty. He's still stuck in going in his diaper. And I think we just need to put underwear underneath his diaper for a little bit and see if so that he feels it, because I think he's so used to feeling the diaper that he just wants to go in there. So I think that might be one of our big things for like a week, and then just kind of go for it. But
Yeah.
we got a nasty gram from daycare saying he can't go to any other room until he's potty trained.
That makes sense.
But they don't want to help us with any of it.
No. What we did is there's a book out there called "Oh Crap Potty Training,"
Okay.
and Catherine read through that, and essentially it's like a 3-day potty training day. Yeah. Where essentially you let the kid walk around without any pants on, no underwear, no diaper, and so they're able to recognize when they need to go to the bathroom. You're watching them, right? So what you're trying to do is you're trying to catch them with the recognition of I'm about to go to the bathroom, and then you're like, okay, and then or that prompting of them to go to the bathroom, go to the toilet, sit on the toilet to relieve themselves, is like ingrained, and that worked really well. Benedict had a little bit of regression, just a little bit, where, what was it? I think it was right when we moved into the apartment at Bismarck that we were at before we moved out here.
Mm-hmm.
And he had gone in his underwear. Yeah. And I got really angry to the point where
I've heard that's not a good method.
No. And essentially I had to be like, Catherine, I don't know what is going on with me, but I'm here for you. I'm here to help. I can't be the one who takes the reins on this, because I will go berserk. Like, it was something unleashed in me that maybe I should probably go see. You
might need to go see a therapist on that.
One. Yeah. So, but I mean, that's what we did, and you have a couple of incidences. Benedict's a very self-aware kid, though, as you're well aware.
He tells when he's going potty, and you could look it on his face when he's going number 2. But it's just like getting him to say, "Hey, I need to go potty." Okay, we'll go sit on the potty then. He just is so ingrained that he just wants to play. All he wants to do is just play. That he doesn't want to take a break from playing to go potty.
Yeah. How old is Gus again?
2.5.
Yeah,
And
you're a little
okay,
bit.
now
Yeah.
dad rant right now.
Okay.
1.5, we had him sitting on the potty. He was peeing every single time. My Abby sent me a picture of him just sitting on the potty when he was 1.5, just like smiling as can be. And he was peeing, he was doing everything. And then we told him at daycare, hey, let's start doing some potty training. Well, he was in the 1.5 room and they don't do potty training in 1.5. So they're like, oh, well, let's take a break. Well, from that break, we then went into
He's
aggression and
progressed. Yeah.
now he just wants to say, no, I don't want to go potty.
Yep.
So I'm very, 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 very frustrated with my daycare because we should have just kept going because he was doing so well and peeing every time he would sit on the potty.
Yeah. No. So
And
honestly,
then the biggest problem too is Abby was like, "Oh, I don't want him to sit and hold on his pee all day," and I was like mentally like, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense." I should have at the time been like, "Well, that's the whole point of potty training is you have to hold your pee."
yeah, he's a little boy. His bladder is bigger
Mhm.
than you think.
Yeah.
But won't be able to last through the night. You need to go to the bathroom before you go to bed. Otherwise, you will
Yeah.
wet yourself. That's just how 2 and 3-year-olds work.
Mhm.
But yeah. So I mean, we struck out lucky with Benedict. We'll see how Bernadette does, but she's
And
still
I've heard
young.
girls are a lot easier than guys.
That's what I've heard too. So, but I mean, hopefully hopefully my daughter is as easy as my sister was. My sister just essentially started going to the bathroom by
Mhm.
herself.
And that's 99% of the time that's what happened. When I talked to my parents, I was like, "Hey, do you have any tricks?" They're like, "No, we just waited till you were 3." I was like, "Oh, great. Thanks, mom." Like, that doesn't help at all because you can't do that at our daycare.
Nope. So, but I don't
It's
know.
also it's
Besides
also
this,
big diaper too is the problem.
sure. But I don't know. Besides the smart ass comment of maybe one of you needs to stay home. Be a
We
stay-home
wouldn't financially
parent.
be able to afford that.
No, no. So yeah, we just have been very blessed with.
Also, Abby does not want to stay home. So,
Oh, sure. Catherine did and does. So
mhm. Abby's never wanted to. So,
fair enough.
mhm.
Mr. Mom.
No.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't do it. I mentally could not be able to do it. There's been when Abby was at she would have a couple weeks where I had to basically do everything to help put Gus down and everything. And I realized I couldn't do it. It would just drain the crap out of me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But
So,
yeah.
alrighty. Well,
On that note,
oh yeah, let's surf this discussion into what we're talking about today. But first, welcome everyone to Those Catholic Gamers, a podcast where Catholic guys come together to talk about video games and their Catholic faith. I am James, your host, and today I have with me Connor.
if you want to be my lover, gotta get with my friends. And
Isn't
it
that
gets forever. Friendship never ends.
doesn't this song like pretty much promote polygamy?
No, it
Okay,
promotes
because that's
being
how I.
it promotes being friends with your significant other's friends.
Okay, because I always read that as like like lover with other friends as
Yeah,
well.
no, I don't think
Okay,
I don't think
that
that's the
that yeah.
I don't think it means that. I mentally I always thought it was more wholesome than that, but
Okay, well, I
I
mean,
could be wrong.
what
I could be wrong.
Spice Girls is that?
Yep.
Okay, so I mean,
It is European. I don't think polygamy is really a thing over in Europe. I mean, it's become more popular now, but I don't think over I think it's more of an American thing.
well, on that note, that's basically how this discussion is going to go,
This is
everybody.
gonna be a fun podcast today.
Yeah. So I am stealing the Catching Foxes 10-minute topics, and we are going to just kind of do hot takes, on different. We have picked 6 different prompts, and we are going to discuss them for 5 minutes each. If we need a little bit of extra time, that should be fine. So this episode will probably last. I don't know. I'm gonna call my shot. Probably about an hour and 5 minutes.
This will be a fun one.
So yeah, looking forward to it. So
I got my timer set, James.
perfect. I got mine too.
You said 5? I thought we were gonna go with 10, but I guess we're going with 5.
Well, we both get 5 minutes to discuss our take on the topic, and we have 6 topics.
String cheese is neither string nor cheese. Discuss.
Isn't it cheese? Isn't it mozzarella cheese?
It is cheese, yeah.
Hot dog's a sandwich. Cereal's a soup. Let the games begin.
Let the games begin.
All right. So, Connor, you chose the rise of streaming platforms, Twitch, YouTube gaming, etc. How has game streaming impacted the gaming community and the industry as a whole? And this will be interesting because, small plug, you stream.
Oh, yeah, not very good at it, but I do stream.
So, all right.
Yeah, I'll start my timer now. Yeah, I think so. I used to be into watching streaming quite a bit when I was single. Like right before I met Abby, I was really big into watching streams and stuff. And I do streaming, obviously. I still do watch quite a bit, just not as much. But I do think that the advent of streaming video games has really impacted the younger, like the smaller developers of games, right? Gaming used to be your EAs, used to be your AAA developers, and they would just pump out games, massive budgeted games. And they still do. They still release these massive budget games, but with streaming and creating types of communities, you just have more eyeballs on smaller, lesser known games, and you just have some of these games that just come out of the middle of nowhere now because of a streamer starts playing it and everyone's like, oh, this looks like fun, and then they start playing it. So I think there's that, but it's also had some drawbacks because like a lot of these communities or so-called communities are very like territorial, which is part of a problem where you have some streamers that just only like do like random stuff because they can, like XQC, like they tune into him because he's fun to watch, but not so much because it's the right, like, I don't know. It's not saying that people are right or wrong, but like they don't promote good ethics. Because all these streamers like will stream for like 8 hours a day, and like that's not healthy whatsoever. But it's also about money, right? And so it's created like a tipping system type community, and so it's like all about getting attention and like parasocial relationships with streamers. So yeah, it's a weird thing how streaming has completely changed how video games are looked at by some people, because their only introduction to games, like a lot of times my introduction to games was YouTube or word of mouth in the playground, and now I've played this game because my favorite streamer started playing it, and it looked like fun.
Sure.
So yeah, and it's fun. I think also streaming creates a good sense of community sometimes if done in the right way. Like it allows people to socialize sometimes, create little communities. Like one of my favorite streamers right now is Atrioc, and he does a really good job at being kind of like a economics type. He likes to educate people and make people laugh, and he's really funny. He's not like super funny. He's like, we're very similar in age. He's a little bit older, and he's worked for Nvidia and like all these different companies. He's worked at Twitch too. But he's really like, I'm at the point in my life where I like things that are educational, and it's always good to learn. So it meshes a lot of different things together. And like, even for us, like streaming and stuff, like we could very much use it as an evangelization tool where if we do create a community, if anyone from the podcast actually wants to tune in and watch the stream, we can have good, fun conversations about our faith and the games that we play. So yeah, small plug, but I think it's good. There's perks and drawbacks with anything, but it definitely has allowed us to meet people we never would have met.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I guess that's kind of all I had. Do you really watch any streamers?
All right, I'll start mine.
I'll
I
stop my timer then. Do you know if you wanted to side tangent off it or not?
No, I'll just dive in unless you
No,
do have something.
That's all I had.
Perfect.
That's all I had.
Gosh. No, I don't watch streaming. I don't understand it. I don't understand why people would just. I can understand like the gameplay reviews because I remember growing up and watching, like the
Reviewers.
Well, not just the reviewers, but like just watching somebody play a game and it's just what's on their screen, right?
Mm.
And that has revolved into the whole gaming streaming, and has brought about, yes, you do have a lot more marketing going towards how things are done. Like Fortnite is huge because that got picked up by streamers. Honestly, I think the player PUBG is huge because of that. Other, like I said,
and it's an actual good game.
Yeah, that too. But the actual gaming community in itself, I mean, if that's how you get community, that's, like I said, the parasocial. There's a parasocial problem where you believe that you're going to, or that you're getting to know this person, but they don't know anything about you. And what was it? What I've also noticed is that there seems to be a uncommonly discouraging connection between some streamers and other platforms. Wink, wink, nod, nod. So they're playing on it, and essentially it's the promotion of the person as essentially they're selling themselves in a way.
Yeah.
And some people take that to an extreme, and so it's at least
manipulative.
It can become manipulative, as you can see with the one gal where she was selling her bathwater. That was a famous name.
Yeah.
I don't even know her name.
Gamer girl bathwater. I don't remember her name either.
Yeah, it starts with an A, I think, but that's about it.
And you don't actually need to know her name. We don't want to promote any.
Yeah, no, it's not a good thing. Anyway, so yeah, while it's a natural progression of what was already in the community, which is sharing you playing something, and good things have come of it. Some people have actually have made good money, or have been able to do good things. What was it? Ninja, I believe, was really big into for Fortnite, and if I remember correctly, I think he was retired now, but he was actually really getting into philanthropy, or he at least.
Ninja wasn't. No. Dr. Lupo. So one streamer called Dr. Lupo, he raised over like $3 million for St. Jude's in one live stream. So like he's done a ton of philanthropic activities for St. Jude, which is a great organization to support because they do so much good for so many families. There was one, Iron Mouse is her name. She's a VTuber, which if you know anything about VTubers, is basically you have a character that's presented on the screen. It's
virtual.
Yeah, it's a virtual person.
Okay.
But she has has some type of rare like brain disorder or some type of disorder. I forget what it is. But she does every 1 month out of the year she does a streamathon or subathon where basically all the subs for the entire month go to this this charitable thing that helps research for it. And she had over like 250,000 subs, which is well close to $1 million going to this. So like people have done good things and done a ton of philanthropic things for it. But then you've got people who are selling their bodies so that they can profit personally.
Yep. And I mean, that can also dive into things like the kind of market that's out there, what people are looking for, the problem with the effect of the internet and how it can cause that kind of thing. But we're up with our 5 minutes for that. So on to the next topic.
Next topic.
So the role of video games in socializing. How has online multiplayer gaming changed the way we socialize and build communities?
You want me to talk about this?
Yeah, go ahead first.
We're not going to alternate?
Oh, well, in that case, you should have. Okay.
Yeah, these are all my topics that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can keep talking.
I'm okay with all of these topics. It's just
okay. So the role of video games in socializing. Yeah, I think video games are what sometimes keep me and my friends together. I think we wouldn't have this little Discord. We wouldn't have this podcast if we didn't have me, you, Joe, Andrew. Like, it allows us to like sit down and talk, you know? And we can and right now we're all very far apart, right? You live in Pennsylvania. Joe lives in Sioux Falls. Andrew's in Aberdeen. I'm in Bismarck. And it allows me to connect with my friends and to just hang out. Whereas normally, if I didn't have this, I would literally just be sitting in my house with my son and my wife, and we would have random times where we would hang out with friends like once a month, and that's it. So like Discord and like video games allows us to like talk, and like it's great because like I went down to Aberdeen for Christmas, and Andrew lives down there, and I didn't usually he comes up to Bismarck because he's got family in Bismarck, and we go down to Aberdeen and we like switch swap like for holidays, but he had to play trumpet for mass for Christmas mass, and I saw him and he waved at me and I was like, oh, they are in town. Oops, I forgot to message him. And then we went to the bar, and I was just like looked at him, I was like, I'd ask how you doing, but we literally just talked like 2 days ago. So I already know like what's going on in your life and how things are going. And it's different than Facebook or like a social media where it's falsified, engineered type thing, where video games and like socializing allows us to actually talk. Where Facebook and other forms of communication, you're communicating by text, or you're just seeing pictures of what's going on. You're not actually getting the full picture because not everything is sunshine and rainbows. But also allows us to get distracted as well, because video games are fun. They're a great distraction to be able to unwind sometimes. Yeah. And I think it does build there's so many Discords right now, like out there that you can, if you ever want to get into a hobby or want to get into something, like there's so many different ways to create a community around video games. So like for me and my sim racing, there's a whole Facebook group on Facebook, hence the Facebook group, about DIY sim racing stuff. So like all of the stuff I've shared on my sim racing rig, I've gotten ideas from this thing, and I posted things on there, and people ask me questions and I help them out, and I ask people other questions, and it creates a cool little community of people who want to get into this hobby. And everybody's super nice. Like there's one guy who posted an asshole comment on my thing, and I was like, dude, you're in the wrong group. And it was gatekeeping. I was like, well, why don't you work on a real car? And I'm like, dude, I ain't got money for that. Like, and I looked at this guy, and this guy's literally bought like an old Corvette, put it into his house, ripped it all apart, and then has a screen in front of it, and like he's hooking up his steering wheel to the old steering column and doing all this random, like, dude, you've got A, way too much time on your hands, B, way too much money to spend out of this crap, And C, you're obviously don't have any kids because, or don't spend any time with your kids if you do have kids, because you should be doing that instead of doing this. But I just said, hey, I don't think you should be commenting. That's all I kept at. But it does create good communities, and if you're willing to be nice on the internet, you can join these communities, and they're actually legitimately can be wholesome, which is nice. It's a cool thing to see with on the internet. And I think we want to do that within our podcast and to combine Catholicism and video games, because I know when I was in college, it's not like I always looked for like a video game podcast. I literally did not see anything. That's when James came up to me and he was like, "Oh, I have this idea for a podcast." I was like, "Yes, actually," because I've always wanted a podcast like this, because these are the two things that are very important to me.
Yeah. Well, what was it? Our friend Alex has self-published actually some books, and he quotes Dr. Peter Kraft about, what was it? I wanted to write a book that I wanted to read. Well, that was kind of my idea too about this podcast.
Yeah.
Was I wanted to make this podcast a podcast that I've been looking for and wanting to listen to.
Right.
So, but
yeah, Seek's going on right now. Like, right? Like, this is something that's good. Like, people coming together, and like, if we ever make it big enough, maybe one of us goes down to Seek and promotes it or something. Like, I don't know, something down the line if we ever make it big enough. I doubt we'll ever get that big, but who never say never, as the late great Justin Bieber would say.
Wait, late? Did he die?
No, he's still alive.
Oh, okay.
I just like to say that sometimes to keep people on their toes.
Yeah. So,
but it's video games is a good it's made to be a distractor, right? And it's meant to allow people to let their guard down, and I think us as Catholics can utilize that to build friendships and to socialize. So yeah, that's kind of that's how I see. I didn't even set a timer. I forgot to set a timer, so I don't know if we're at 5 minutes.
Fair enough. So I guess it's my turn.
Yep.
I'll force you out. All right, let me just quickly bring the questions back up. There we go. Okay. How has multiplayer gaming changed the way that we socialize and build communities? So
isn't that we already just talked about that?
Well, that's what you just talked about.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to answer. I'm going to give my 2 cents. Let's see here. So on one side, it's a positive, right? So I remember wanting to do Exodus 90, but I didn't have a group. Which you have to have a group to do Exodus 90.
You told me that, and I was like, good luck. Because Exodus 90 is designed for you to fail.
And so my wife was like, you do need an outlet. And I really just hang out with Connor, and and so this was the way in which I got that community, and we've been able to try to keep onto that. But now with my job, with weird hours, I can't always keep that. The problem I have with online multiplayer gaming is that it has driven us away from the physical aspect. Right. So usually when you are gaming, we are not doing a video call like we're doing right now. It is not face to face. We are just focused on the interaction of either the team playing or the versus aspect of the game. But we're not actually sitting down and having a conversation. We are social beings, which means that we need to be in a community, which by that definition, it means that we are like engaging with our neighbors. Our modern society, our technology that has been such a help to us has also driven us apart. And this has been going on ever since the Industrial Revolution, where modern society and the framework of the family has been broken up and really kind of just sanitized into what can I get the most out of this thing for a gain instead of the good in itself. I'm walking around this small little town of Derry, Pennsylvania, which is like 2,000 people. And it's nice and quiet. And when people are out on their front decks, I am able to engage with some of those people and get to know them. But there's not a lot of people doing things, right? Like, we are meant to engage with one another and engage with our neighbor, and having TVs and computers and phones in screens in our faces all the time is a huge problem. And one thing that we do need to do is take a step back, make sure that everything is in order, right? Is God number one? Am I going to Mass on holy days of obligation, Sundays and holy days of obligation? Am I actively praying and trying to build a relationship with God? Do I understand what that even means, building a relationship with God and Jesus? And then from there, is my wife second? Is my family second? For us married men, it's going to be our wife and then our kids. And then it's us, right? Then we kind of have to take care of ourselves. And then and then our neighbor, and then making sure that we're actually getting up and showering, because we're filthy gamers that probably do need to shower every now and then.
Yeah, I just live in my basement, so I don't know what that's like.
I haven't seen the sun in 7 years.
What is this thing that burns the flesh?
That's why I don't like going outside, because I'm such an alabaster-skinned person.
Burns the flesh.
It feels like I'm standing next to a bonfire. It is not comfortable. I do not understand why people like going outside.
It reminds me of and I haven't read any of the Lord of the Rings, spoiler alert, but at one point doesn't Schmeagol go outside, and after like not realizing it, like, because he's usually out during the night, but he feels the back of his skin just because he's so hyper fixate on the ring. That's all he wants to look at, but he doesn't realize he's outside during the day, and these gets like burns onto his skin because he doesn't even realize it because he's so focused on the ring. Isn't that part of it or something?
Yeah, kind of. So what was it? Nerd James stepping in for a second. It's during the process of him. What was it? This is the Council of Elrond. Gandalf is talking about the story of Gollum to everybody, and yeah, Smeagol, not Schmeagol. I work for Sheets, and Sheets it's the Schmeagol and a Schmuffin and Schnuggets. It's
That's funny.
It's SH. Well, they actually have it's on a T-shirt. It's Sheets happens. So
yeah.
Like they really love that SH, and they put Z in replacement of S's. But
kind of like there's a restaurant, Zorba's, kind of like Zorba's.
Yeah, kind of. But yeah, so it's Gandalf talking to the Council of Elrond, discussing how Gollum got the ring and then what happened to him, what was the progression. And he has gone under. Yeah, he's basically hidden himself under the mountain. He goes out one last time. No. Yeah, so no, you're right. He's kind of like absorbed, and then he starts noticing like, oh, the sun burns. And so he goes under the mountain because he thinks it's going to be cooled and there's going to be secrets. And all it turns out is there's nothing but empty black and void. And so the ring has literally sucked him away from everything. And so anyway. Okay. Go ahead, Connor.
So there's nothing good about us playing video games, is what you're saying. Cool, sweet, thanks.
You weren't listening to me. No, the problem is with society. Just
not me. I'm not society. Everyone else is society.
It takes two to have a society, so stay indoors, people.
Yep, don't go outside. The sun's bad. Which is a fun subject for this next subject of the future of virtual reality and augmented reality. I have a VR headset and I use it every now and then. It's usually mostly when people come over. It's more of a socializing thing for me. So like I come over and be like, hey, you want to look at my VR headset? And everyone's just like, oh, yeah. Like I've always wanted to try this. Like I got Joe into buy a VR headset because he was like, I've always wanted to try it. And I put it on his head and he was like, oh, this is a lot of fun. So now he has a VR headset. We need to play some more VR games together. We tried streaming it one time, but it didn't really work out all that well. But I digress for that. But I think, and it was kind of funny because you read all this random stuff. Like, have you ever read Ready Player One?
No, I know the story.
Yeah, you know the story behind it. So there's Ready Player One where everyone just gets sucked into this like realm of VR, and like it's basically a cautionary tale of like how you basically lose yourself into the VR realm, and like you can use the VR to buy more stuff, which suck you in even more, and like everything you buy is online and all that. And from playing VR for a good half an hour one day, playing some Pavlov and getting absolutely completely sick to my stomach from motion sickness, VR will never be the future of gaming. Just because your body can't handle it. Like the idea, it was the first time in my life where my eyes could see myself moving forward, but my body wasn't going with it. And it made me absolutely sick to my stomach because I think I jumped off a ledge and just freaking just destroyed my guts. And like my brain was just spinning because of it. I could see AR being more of a popular thing because you're actually connecting with the world around you. And I think it might be a gateway drug to VR down the road. Who knows? But I just don't see VR ever actually making a massive comeback because there's not really, I mean, what is Meta dumped billions of dollars into their realm, their metaverse is whatever he wants to call it. It's literally made them no money, like whatsoever. Like nobody plays the game. It's literally just a game. That's what the metaverse is. It's just a game that you're basically going out and chat VR. And if you've ever played that game is terrible. It's so weird because you just dress up as random stuff and then people just talk and that's all it is. So I just don't see it being that much of a really game changer within the gaming sphere or allowing people to actually socialize just because it just feels like it's maybe it's just at where it is right now. Maybe 10 years down the road it'll change, but you know what, we said that 10 years ago and guess what, we're not even any farther than we were 10 years ago. Just because there's just a lack of authenticity from VR in my opinion, and you're physically interacting with the thing, but there are some games that are super fun. Like I played Bleed Saber, super fun. Pistol Whip is one of my favorite games of all time, like in gaming in general, just because it's so much fun that if you've never played Pistol Whip, I highly recommend getting a VR headset and playing it because it's a rhythm shooting game that you're just like shooting robots in rhythm of the music. It's so much fun. And like, I feel like I'm actually getting workout from it because you're like moving out of the way and doing all this random stuff. It's super fun. And don't get me wrong, I like VR gaming. I think it's super fun. I played Phasmo in VR and that's absolutely pooped my pants, actually, really. Because it's freaking terrifying. But I mean, at some point there might be a realm to jump forward, but I just don't think it's ever going to be as popular as people think it ought to be, or science fiction or will ever make it out to be. Now, if you could directly inject it into your brainstem and actually feel what's going on, maybe. But if we've got that going on, we've got a lot other problems going on in our lives. But at the current rate of its growing, it's never going to make it anywhere. But AR, I could see that being helpful. Just like having something going on, like on glasses and just looking out at stuff and giving you a idea of what's going on. I can see like working with ChatGPT and just like describing what you're seeing. But then you just go down this slippery rabbit hole of like, okay, well now you're going to see advertisements in real life, and like when advertisers are getting involved, and then everything you look at is going to have some type of advertising. Someone's going to try to sell you something, and then it's going to keep track of your eyes and what you're looking at all times, and just like, it just makes me sick to my stomach. Just like how commercialized and monetized it could be. And dehumanizing, because like humans aren't the sum of what we see ourselves as. It's like we have dignity and worth in the eyes of God, and if we see ourselves only pointing inwards, then we're going to lose ourselves, because Satan's just going to make us narcissists. Like when you see all these avatar people running around chat VR or VR chat, because they're making themselves out to what they want the world to see them as, and not who they really are. And you're never going to grow as a person from that. So yeah, that's how my viewing of VR. VR is fun. Go play some VR games, but it's never going to be as big as they think it's going to be. So yeah. Have you ever done VR? I don't think you have. Have you? Or no, yeah. You came over to my place and played some VR?
No, I've not played VR at your place. Your old roommate Connor had a VR set, and I played Beat Saber and a couple of other things. So I have played it. I have tried AR gaming with Pokemon Go, which is technically a AR game. And I really hope that this is not the future of gaming, because if it is, I'm out. I will no longer be playing games, and for multiple reasons. I remember when VR was first really coming out, like that big VR trend, the Oculus Rift. 2014 so about 10 years ago, was like everyone was like, this is it, this is the next evolution of video gaming. This is as crazy as 3D movies for the third time in attempt.
Yep. That was a failure too,
and we all know how that ended.
And they still make VR movies, it's just not nearly as promoted.
Yeah. But so the potential for a VR and AR gaming, I really don't think is there. I really don't think that this is going to be something. I think it's a dead end. I think it has some fun concepts. I think it's really interesting in how you are able to interact within a gaming world, but with already. You're within the gaming industry, you already have a monetization problem. You have a lot of people to pay. It's highly skilled labor, highly skilled labor, and you need a lot of people. And unfortunately, there's a lot of abuse that goes on in that to get these titles out. And then. I mean, with what I said about socializing, right? AR is just the next step in a huge swath of problems that comes with having these little stupid black rectangles in our pockets all the time. You
can't disconnect from them.
No. What was it? I remember Matt Frad was talking about when he was over in what was it? Austria and in Europe. He would go to restaurants and they didn't have physical menus.
Yeah,
they were
during COVID because they got rid of them.
Yeah, so you just had to scan something with your phone, and he's like, but he didn't bring his phone with him. And so I think it actually got to a point where they would just leave the restaurant, maybe, or maybe I'm just adding in. But this brings up another problem about having or relying everything on phones or making everything digital, right? You are isolating people from others. And that is, you are also isolating the poor from the rich as well, right? There would be eventually a time where, I'm sorry, like, what was it? A brand new iPhone is what, $1,500?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have that
Somewhere.
kind of money to go out and get
If
one.
not more than that.
If not more than that. And then you're expecting somebody in Indonesia who's making these things for $5 a week, or I might be
pennies on the
hyperbolic.
dollar.
Pennies on the dollar. And then yet our whole society in which you're supposed to engage and get to know and be informed, and now have to pay your bills, all are required to be on this thing. And now you want to strap lenses to our faces and dare I say, rape the natural resources from the earth to create batteries that are going to eventually break down and we're not going to be able to do anything with, leaving huge problems, both ecologically and also, we're
going to take from the ground just to put it back into the ground.
Yeah, but as waste. And then on top of it, the whole slave labor problem of getting these lithium batteries. So no, I really do hope it's a trend. Right now it is very niche, and I really hope it just dies. But then again, I'm all for a great unplugging, which seems counterproductive because I enjoy video games. So
yeah.
Sorry, was that a little ranty?
A little bit. You got a little in the deep. You got a little in the weeds. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I think VR is a tool in and of itself, and I think we have to realize it as that. Is that we use tools to allow ourselves to make our life easier, but we cannot be succumbed to the tools that we have. Right, the tools don't replace people. And if our tools are replacing people, then we have an improper addiction to our tools. And if Apple wants to make an $8,000 phone, hey, guess what, James? They make a $600 phone too.
Yeah, there's a reason why I'm still using an iPhone 8.
Yeah, I need a new phone. Mine's cracked. Abby just cracked her phone, so. But you know what? Do what you got. Use what you have until you can't use it no more.
Perfect.
What was the next one?
Impact
of loot boxes and RNG. We talked about this on last episode a little bit. Which kind of why we kind of went down this rabbit hole of this topic, but I think loot boxes and RNG have allowed for more subtle content to be added to games, which allows developers to continually update games, which allows them to become better. I mean, in and of itself, Counter-Strike Source wouldn't be the game it would be today if it weren't for loot boxes. Some of these games, there are some very niche things where it allows developers to keep developing games, but they're also a monetization method that completely guts the whole point of playing video games. That by adding loot boxes and RNG, we add RNG. RNG is actually a good thing in games because it adds variety. I have no qualms with RNG. RNG is great, and RNG's been in the video game genre since the advent of the NES and random oddball games, because it adds a variety to each playthrough, and it allows you to keep you on your toes. And RNG and bosses and a lot of those older games, it's super fun. I have nothing against that. It's the monetization of the synapses within our brains that triggers a dopamine rush whenever we unlock something within a loot box is a problem. It's no different than gambling. It's no different than like going to Vegas and going to a slot machine and just constantly hitting that button, hitting that button, hitting that button. And I got get a kick out of that. So me and Abby went up to Duluth for when we were dating for New Year's one year. And I stopped at a casino. And because I was like, you know what, Abby, I've never been to a really casino before. And she's like, no, I haven't either. So we just went in there and I think we had like $3, $5. And we just went in there and I was like, all right, well, we sat down at this machine. It was like 75 cents a pull. I was like, okay, we'll throw a couple bucks in. And, if we win something, we win something. If we're not, we're out $5. Guess what? I'm okay with losing $5. And so I went there, pressed the button, nothing. And I was like, okay. I'm mentally giving my time to process that, why it doesn't happen, because that's important with gambling. You can't just keep diving into it because otherwise then you can become addicted. So I gave myself a little bit. And then all of a sudden I pressed the button again. All of a sudden, all these lights are going off. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Guess how much I had won after this pull, James?
$10.
35 cents. For you, dear listener, it was a 75-cent pull. I lost 40 cents off this pull. But that's what these loot boxes are based off of, right? They're meant to allow you to have that synapses rush of seeing what's going on, seeing what's on the screen. And it's meant to trigger your brain to say, hey, you got something good. This thing that actually has almost nothing to do with reality is good for you. And you're going to gamble until you get it. And I think it's different. Like, and there's pay to win models that come within Madden and NBA 2K, which actually, like, the more money you spend in the game has a tangible, the better you get at it, and has nothing to do off of skill. And then there's cosmetic things, which you could say, like Counter-Strike and Counter-Strike 2, like these things that actually have no physical basis within the real life world, but can be sold for real life money on a gray market somewhere, because Valve makes money in the long run off of selling you $2.50 keys. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how they make their money. And then they go on a black market somewhere and they're making thousands upon thousands of dollars off of assets that Valve put into the game. So it's just like, it's a wild thing that loot boxes have added to the video game genre, and it's completely changed modern games. Like, we talked about this in the sports ball episode of modern games are not designed to sell units. They're designed to sell loot boxes and to give you to buy as many of those things as you possibly can. Or grind your face off for hours upon hours in a free to play game that have lesser odds than just going out there buying a crate that has the exact same thing. So you can grind your face off and get the same stuff, but you can also spend $5 and do it in a matter of seconds. So I think it doesn't necessarily ruin the integrity of games if it's purely cosmetic, but it can if it actually, like, the cosmetic item has like, +5 recoil or -2 whatever to damage received or anything like that. So, like, it's a slippery slope that we have already slipped down. It's pretty much as far as we can go. Like, you can look at some games that are just massively predatory in the way that they're developed and designed. And as a whole, loot box have almost destroyed the video game industry in general. Because you can look up the statistics on what games make money, and guess what? They all have loot boxes in them. It's pretty substantial, and it's very sad. James, your ideas on loot boxes? You ripping packs, baby. Gotta get that gold gun.
So, what was it? what was it? So for Christmas this year, my boss got all of us little boxes, and when you took the top off, they would fall open, and they had candy taped on the inside, and then in the middle were a couple of scratch offs.
Ah, nice.
And I don't know if you know this about me, Connor, but I love me some scratch offs.
Do you? I did not know that.
Yeah. So when I heard that scratch offs were illegal in North Dakota, I was like, oh, huh. Yeah, you don't think about it. They have pull tabs. They do not have scratch offs in North Dakota. You cannot buy them because they are illegal in North Dakota.
Never even noticed that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You're right. You're just blowing my brain right now because you see pull tab machines all in every bar. You see blackjack tables pretty much in every bar too.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to a gas station, they have like Mega Millions, they've got Powerball. There is no scratch offs.
Yeah. So
oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
To continue, something I learned. Go ahead.
Bottle rockets are illegal in North Dakota. How stupid is that?
All rockets?
Bottle rockets.
Yeah, North Dakota's a weird place.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's a conversation for another time. So when I turned 18, I went out and bought some scratch offs, as one does in South Dakota. And I noticed something about myself. I really like scratch offs. I like that feeling. I like, it's like, hey, I won something. It could be I just won my money back because the odds are so low, right? When in lottery that you're going to get your money back, that I don't play scratch offs because I will take the extra cash in my pocket and go buy them.
So that's what Abby does with pull tabs,
right? So I, whenever I see loot boxes, and I distinctly remember when this first came out, like, loot boxes, they're going to be a thing. The companies were arguing that it's not gambling. It is 100% gambling.
They would say it's not gambling because you have no tangible, you can't sell the object for any tangible good, right? That's why they don't call it gambling.
I think that was the legal argument, which didn't hold at least in Europe. And so there was a bit of a kibosh on loot boxes. They're still around. They're a little harder because I remember they were really in your face. 2K, a lot of their games were loot boxes way in your face. EA, loot boxes way in your face. They've died back a bit. They're not as much. You kind of have to search them out a little bit, but they're still there. So it definitely adds excitement, but it definitely can harm games. It can harm people, has harmed people, and definitely
is harming people.
Is harming people, will be harming people, and is definitely exposed these different companies for what they really are, which are greedy corporations, which is why I play a lot more indie or lesser known titles, because usually these are people who actually care about their craft. This can go into a discussion of is video games as art, is it art, yada, yada, yada. But random number generator, I agree with you. I think those are really, really nice to have. They can be done very poorly. Connor, you've never played Fallout 4, so you don't know this. So, but Bethesda became pretty. Their crutch was their RNG for creating little side quests, and one of them was Preston Garvey, which was the basically number one guy for the Commonwealth Minutemen, and you could partake in this group, and he would come up to you after doing so many quests, and he would say, "Hey, this settlement needs your help," and you'd go off, you'd fight off like some sort of, maybe some super mutants were attacking the settlement, or some raiders were attacking the settlement, and you go off, you help fight them off, and you would go back and you would get your reward. But their RNG numbers were miscalculated, so immediately he had another one for you. And sometimes it would be the exact same settlement, and it became a meme. So it definitely can help bring about either people
that got past the playtesters.
Yeah, probably, because you really do have to dive into the quest a little bit longer. My understanding is they have fixed it, but it is still a bit of a meme. And yeah, so I do enjoy RNG, especially when it comes to like creating environments. So that's how a lot of environments are actually made nowadays. They're not handcrafted because games are so big, so you have to rely on a bit of RNG. But it has become a bit of a crutch as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's my 5 minutes there.
Yeah. Roguelikes, man. They're fun to replay. It adds a lot of replayability. That's the nice thing about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, alrighty. Well, Connor, we are at an hour.
Yeah, we probably should call it quits.
Okay, I was gonna say
we'll call these 5-minute plus rants.
Yeah, well, it's still 10-minute topics because we're talking about this one topic for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I guess if you're listening, you have any questions or you want to chime in your thoughts on some of our ideas on some of these topics, tune in the chat, send us an email. Tell us if we're full of crap or horse manure. You can very much tell us that, and we'll talk about it. I'd love to hear someone else's. I know we have one Sir comment. You're doing a great job. Appreciate it. But yeah.
He's been a little bit absent as of late, but
that's okay.
But yeah, no, definitely have been appreciating your comments out there, sir. And yeah, and like Connor said, you can always reach out to us, anybody. You can always leave a comment either on Spotify or wherever some place is able to provide a comment. You can always email us at catholicgamerspod@gmail.com. Once again, Connor does stream at twitch.tv/fatalcondor on Tuesdays from 7:30 p.m. Central Time to about 9 p.m. Central Time. So feel free to join in on the chat there. He would be more than happy to have you over there.
Yeah, you're welcome to hit the follow button if I'm ever offline, then you can get a notification when we do go online. So
there you go. So, well, with all of that being said, unless you got something else.
No, it's been a good time. I enjoyed this episode. This is a fun episode.
Yeah, I think we might be doing this a little bit more often than every 2 months.
I want to hear Joe talk about some stuff too. I always love listening to hear Joe talk about his opinion on stuff.
Yeah. And Joe has very different opinions from us usually.
Yes,
and that's very interesting.
It's good. It's good to have different opinions.
Yeah, he definitely processes things differently, and he comes at it from a different approach, and it's nice. It's not just a bunch of dare I say semi-trad Catholic guys.
Yeah.
Joe definitely brings in a bit of a different flavor, and we definitely appreciate that. So
we love Joe a lot.
Yes, we do. He has a great mustache. I really wish I had.
I wish everybody could see his mustache. He's got an amazing mustache.
Great. So, yeah. Anyway, so with all that being said, thank you all for listening, and God bless.
Bye. Have a great time.